The NBA is screwing the Cleveland Cavaliers. The NBA's best team is getting no help from Adam Silver and company as we come to the finish of the regular season, and the Cavaliers get primed to make a run to what is hopefully the NBA Finals. Hey everybody, Billy Beebe back with you on Cavs Digest. Excited to bring you more Cavaliers content as they trickle through closer and closer to the NBA playoffs, closer and closer to the 1 seed. That's the big one, right? Is can they grab the 1 seed? They got 4.5 games right now in the Celtics. I figure they got to win 3 or 4 more to seal that up. It's been huge. They've lost out on some things. The 70 wins, the franchise record wins. I don't think they're going to get those. But still great for them to be at 60-plus wins for just the third time in team history. They can still get a couple more. And, of course, that 1 seed's all they want. It's all they really need. I saw Donovan Mitchell last night celebrating, which was well-deserved, celebrating 60 wins. Tough to do. Regular season's long. They should be celebrating things. I salute them for doing so, and I encourage the Cavaliers to keep doing it. This channel, going to keep you primed for the NBA playoffs, primed for the Cavaliers finish here. Last video, we talked about the schedule, possible playoff matchups coming up, so you can go back and look at that. Who do you want to face, right? Orlando, Detroit, Indiana, Miami, Chicago, all to Boston, right? New York. What's the route you want? Go back and take a look at that video and leave a comment there. And, of course, be sure to subscribe. We now have over 2,000 subscribers. So if you want in on all the action, go ahead and do so. And, of course, every video, looking to get feedback, drop down into the comments. So we know the Cavaliers finishing out March with a 10-5 record. And, boy, you'd have thought they went 1-14 or 0-15. I mean, the scrutiny that this team fell under in a tough schedule, a Western Conference road trip, some lackadaisical play. They only have themselves to blame, and I know Kenny Atkinson was getting after the team before last night's game, but they had a tough schedule. They're on the road, they're Western Conference, they're at home, they're back on the road. I know, the one day Austin Carr had to immediately leave the Cavaliers post-game set to dash to the plane to get to the Cavs' next game. It isn't just about timing, it's about getting settled in and getting a good night's sleep and getting up and shoot around, and there's a whole process to it. I know for people who understand the NBA, I'm not giving them any sort of knowledge they don't already have, but they've had a difficult road, and we know they've fallen under a ton of scrutiny. We've made the videos where people like Shaq and Stephen A. Smith and different people that talk online or ESPN or whatever have said the Cavaliers aren't contenders because look at them losing to the Suns. I didn't love them losing to the Suns. Got me a little worried with everything they'd been through. It wasn't a good look for them losing to the Suns without Domantas Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan. And I thought, hey, they got a little lackadaisical, a little too cocky at moments, and then they hit a Western Conference road trip. Then Chris Fedor and company pointed out last night when the Cavs grabbed a nice win against the Los Angeles Clippers. I got to give them their credit for that. It is unreasonable. The last time the Cavaliers played 2 consecutive games in the same city, February 23rd. And I thought I don't think that's a big deal. And he said if that seems outrageous, it's because it is. That is a tough stretch of games for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Remember, it kind of started with Orlando after the losing streak. They had that one in hand. Don't know how they lost it. LA's a good team. I actually think there'll be a lot of trouble in the playoffs of the Western Conference. No Sabonis. I don't think DeRozan played in that one too for Sacramento. They still lost. Phoenix is just the most dysfunctional team in the league, and they lost that one. So that was kind of the 4 worrisome games. I still don't know how they lost to Detroit without Cade, and it just became clear. Look, this is a difficult stretch of games, right? So they're coming off their longest Western Conference road trip, played 3 games in 4 days, fly home to immediately travel back to back. Again, they're traveling. It's not just about the schedule. Normally, the schedule needs to line up favorably at different points, right? So when you come off a Western Conference road trip, you should hit a couple games at home. So the Cavaliers come off that road trip, Western Conference road trip. They play San Antonio, then immediately have to get on the road to Detroit, and then come back home right after. They screwed them. They screwed them down the stretch, and it has absolutely affected this team. Not only are they lackadaisical with the fact that it's the end of the regular season, they've really checked off every box they can, minus the 1 seed, which, again, this plays into a lot of it. They probably should have had this 1 seed wrapped up, I would say, against Phoenix. maybe if you look at that schedule, they should have lost one of those games in LA and then wrap things up against Phoenix or Utah. But instead they've dealt with this gauntlet, grueling, taxing schedule, and now they've got the Celtics right behind them, causing some trouble. First thing I'll ask, leave a comment. What did you think of that schedule? I imagine you think I'm right where they had the Magic, LA's a throw-up, should have beat the Kings, Phoenix, and should have beat Detroit without Cade Cunningham. I don't care what the deal was, and I still give them credit, right? They beat Portland without Donovan Mitchell, and despite the craziness of this schedule, they're rolling in and they're kind of getting things done. And then you've got your next 5 games, a difficult set. They already took on the Clippers. They get the Knicks, a tough one. They'll be at the Spurs and the Kings and the Bulls, which will be a nice finish to it. So I do feel good that if the Cavs struggle or limp a little bit and the 1 seed's up for grabs and then it comes down to that Clippers, Spurs, Kings, or Spurs, Kings, Bulls, I think they can take care of business against Spurs, Kings, Bulls with the 1 seed on the line, even probably resting guys. I ultimately, this schedule that Adam Silver and the schedule makers and the league has made for them has cost them games. You can leave a comment if you agree with me. It's cost them games, I think. That Detroit game where they're tired, they're traveling, they're back and forth. And it's also cost them their reputation, of course, because they were seen as the big dog, the new team, the fresh team, and now all of a sudden the internet trolls are saying they're not worthy of how they've been talked about. They're not worthy about what's been said about them. Now you've got your coach having to, the story was against the Clippers, he had to, in his pregame speech, throw a water bottle at the TV, scream at these guys. He's benching dudes. Isaac Okoro can't get in. Sam Merrill's playing at weird moments, in and out. I mean, Atkinson's now just having to throw darts at the wall, trying lineups, which we'll get into in a different video. But, I mean, this was a grueling, taxing schedule. You essentially are at the point where not only do you have to win these games because of how the schedule is played out, but you have to play Donovan Mitchell 37 minutes against the Clippers last night because you need the win and you need to instill confidence back in your team. Very difficult schedule that they were lined up with to finish the season. Now, ultimately, no, the league did not know the Cavs would be this new, fresh team, number 1 in the East, number 1 at the NBA at times, but it doesn't really matter. They should have looked at it, seen the travel issues, seen the back-to-backs, the Western Conference road trips, the home, away, back home, late in the year, mind you. That's the other thing is the schedule. It should have points where it gets hard, but it should have, not just talent-wise and opponent-wise, but travel-wise. But you should say, okay, it's the end of the year. We need to take into fact that the Cavaliers will be coming off a 4-game road trip. Can't bring them home, away, back home in a 3 or 4 game stretch. Too difficult. The league screwed them on this. And again, it screws them out of the 1 seed, and it screws them out of their reputation as we come down the stretch towards the NBA playoffs. I believe the Cavaliers can come out of this, right? Leave a comment. Is this too much for them? Has this stunted them a little bit? I know a lot of people have soured on them and are worried about them a little bit. I do think the NBA screwed them over. Let me know what you think on that. Do you think I'm reading into this too much? Is this, hey, they set the schedule, they don't know how it's going to be, it's really not that much trouble, but I think if you really look at that schedule, the Cavs got played by the NBA on this. Doesn't matter. I think they can grind through, and I think towards the end of the year they'll be back and ready for the NBA playoffs. Be sure to subscribe. Stay tuned with us here on Cavs Digest.